All right, Kelly, tell us about witches. I really
All right.
know.
I have no idea.
I
was a witch every year for Halloween for 9 years in a row. So I
that.
love witches, but I know nothing
Every
about
year?
them. Every year, 9 years in a row.
Same costume or different?
Well, I kept growing, so I had to keep getting new ones.
Right,
but I was
different
like,
variations.
Mom, Dad, I want to be a witch again. They were like,
You
are you
were
serious?
just dedicated to the
I was
witch game.
dedicated to the witch game. And then the one year that broke it, I was a milk carton. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't want it to be anything else. Like if you were like, I broke it to be like a devil.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I-
you
yeah.
should've
I
gone
was
with
a
the
milk
witch.
carton.
Milk carton.
Giant milk
Worth
carton,
it.
and it was like a missing persons thing, and my face was the missing face on the milk carton.
That's genius.
Really funny.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really,
Better
really
than the
funny.
witch
Wow.
costume.
Better than the witch.
Yeah.
Way
Yeah.
better than
I
the witch
upgraded.
costume. Way better than the witch costume. Yeah, witches are hot in the streets these days, ladies. Like they've always been kind of relevant, and I feel like based on what I was looking at last night, and based on what I've been looking at for the past like year and a half, it seems like witchcraft has permeated pop culture in a way that people it's like mainstream. Like it's almost like a hobby to have. And
Yeah.
like
I see it on TikTok
witchcraft,
a lot.
quote unquote witchcraft, like
Yeah.
not real shit, like not the real. People are really intense about it. People see it as a religion. People see it as like a way of life. And those people, I like never want to offend them because you never know. And so I'm always like, oh, I dance around what I'm talking about when I say that. But to the people who are just kind of posers about it,
Yeah.
those are that I think is fun and interesting and just like something cool to believe in and cool to like deal with. But
didn't
I
know
wanted to ask you,
witches
Brie.
were religion.
Yeah, witchcraft is like
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
sick.
paganism.
I mean,
or
yeah, if you
pagans.
can believe in God, why can't you believe in witches?
It's called paganism. And but I wanted to ask you, Brie, because you grew up in Massachusetts. Was it like witch heavy? In Massachusetts.
Oh yeah, we learned about it in school, like
Yeah.
from early on. I think it was, and I went to a Catholic school, and and we
Oh my God.
we talked about the
that can't be
she's
true.
stole
That
my
can't be true.
brand.
Only Maria has gone to a Catholic
I
school.
just don't believe that you
whatever. But we talked about it like in Catholic school. We talked
Mm-hmm.
about the Salem witch trials. It was talked about every year when Halloween came up. That's like all we would talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And what is going on down there?
That.
And
Cut that out. It was driving me nuts.
everyone would always go to Salem for like October, and everyone's like actually scared of going to
Yeah.
Salem because there's like real witches there. Everyone says so.
Listen to how fucked up this is. So I hadn't looked up the Salem witch trials information in a while. Like I just, we also learned about it in school. I've seen Hocus Pocus, like
Yeah.
shit like that, whatever. It's so much more fucked up than I actually thought. Like it's
Fucked up.
If it was on a larger scale, it would be genocide. Like
Oh,
it
yeah.
was, you know what I mean? Like it was horrible. So between 1962 and 1963, that was when the Salem witch trials were happening, which feels like an actual billion years ago. 1692, like what the fuck? So in the United States, for Salem specifically, there were about 200 people accused of witchcraft. And the people who were accused of witchcraft a lot of them were, whatever they're called, midwives, like women who would help other women give birth. And a lot of them were nurses and people that would help with medical remedies, like things like that. They were like, how is this possible? You're a witch. And then people started getting like crazy about it. And so if somebody like was looking at you shifty, you'd be like, what are you looking at me like that for? Like, you're a witch. What the fuck? And so
Yeah.
it was like 200 people were accused, 30 people were tried, 19 people were hanged. And that's in Salem alone. In Europe, over 110,000 people, Europe, were accused, let's say, between 40 and 60,000 people were executed in Europe for witchcraft.
It's
For
crazy.
being a witch?
For being a witch.
And
for
you could
being
be
a
like-
witch. And
there were
some of them
people
are like
that-
maybe they were witches, maybe they weren't, maybe
Yeah.
they practiced paganism. Like they weren't, it wasn't like
But you could get called out for reasons that like aren't even like
They're
you
not
could
even
be
real.
like a mistress or doing something that's like against like the commandments or something, and it's like you're a witch, and then you're tried and you're
Yes.
hung.
And is being, because witches are always associated with being like evil.
Yes,
but
I looked
feel
that
like
up, too.
witches don't want to be considered evil.
some
Yeah, I
people
don't know.
think
Maybe there are evil witches, but I feel like there are obviously
witches?
good witches.
Yeah.
I took
Like
this.
from
Let me
Wizard of
find
Oz.
it. So the witchcraft definition is the practice of magic, especially black magic, the use of spells, which doesn't make sense about especially. Like I thought that was strange. So I looked up black magic, and black magic is magic
Bad.
involving the supposed invocation of evil spirits for evil purposes. So even the definition on Google of like witchcraft, it tells you that it's for evil purposes, which it's not. Maybe there are people. I thought of it this last night in this way. There are human beings and there are also murderers. That doesn't mean all human beings are murderers. How is it that there are witches and there can be bad witches, but automatically all witches are bad? They all practice black magic. They all are trying to be evil.
Yeah,
That's not true. You know what I mean? Feels ridiculous to me. So I thought that was really interesting. And I don't understand why. Like, I guess the stigma came from like suspicion and paranoia and whatever, and it just kind of stuck forever. And I guess the fact that it's kind of like an unknown situation of, can you do magic? Can you do not? Or can you not? Do spells really work? Do incantations work? All of these things. The unknown makes people worried about like getting exposed or getting their lives turned upside down or getting hurt or their families hurt, whatever. So people, it's fear that drives like all this prejudice. And to be honest, it's technically religious prejudice if you think about it, because it's a religion.
It is.
So it's kind of wild. Did you guys ever see The Crucible with Winona Ryder? It's free on YouTube, by the way. I watched it yesterday. I watched bits and pieces. I fell
Or
asleep.
I read it. I can't remember.
Oh yeah. Well, reading it. We had to read it in school, I guess. Did you guys read it at all? Do you remember? I remember
watched
reading it and
some
being
witch
obsessed.
movie that I don't know what it was. Was there like a Netflix something or a movie that came out that was about witches that everyone was watching? Or was those my dreams?
Twitches.
Not,
Well, no, not that.
Not with,
I mean,
like-
not that.
Not with Anne Hathaway, right? The one with Anne Hathaway. That's kind of recent. Within the past year.
I don't know, something crazy. Me and Grace had ourselves convinced 2 or 3 weeks ago that we had a black magic spell casted on us.
shit.
Far that we went online and found out how to get rid of black magic. We ordered 3 magic like bead things that are supposed to get rid of black magic, and we hung them on our keychain, and every time we left the house we would touch it, and every time we came in we would touch it, because we were convinced there was a black magic spell on us. And we couldn't
Honestly?
stop saying black magic. Like
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
word vomit. We would go black magic, black magic, black magic. Black magic. We're like, stop saying it, and it would just come out. It was so scary. And then
you got rid of it?
horrible things kept happening to us, and I think it's gone now.
What kind of horrible things though?
Um,
Like, just an inconvenience at the
no.
store?
Well, I don't want to put it on the
Oh,
podcast.
okay.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that being a witch is a learned skill, or you're like born with it? That's something that is unclear everywhere. And I don't know.
I think it's kind of like psychics and mediums
feeling.
and that thing. And if you are an intuitive person and you have that, some people are more gifted than others in that field, but it really depends if you practice the craft. Like you got to put in the work. It's not just going to snap your fingers and you're going to know how to do it. Like people have the gift. They just have to like use it often to figure it out.
I agree with that. I found this article yesterday on like a parent's website, and I was so excited. It's called "My Teen is into Witchcraft and Tarot Cards. Should I be worried?" Literally written January 2021. Hysterical.
God.
Talking about TikTok and baby witches and blah blah blah. And on TikTok especially. It's very my first
much.
like full-time blog that I wrote here was about witch talk, and I was like just about all the people on there, how you can tell the difference between like who's legitimate and who's like making spells, and then who's just like, I'm a witch and I painted my nails black. You know what I mean? You can tell the difference. But what I thought was interesting is they interviewed a mom, and it says a friend of mine chimed in last week and said, anyone who has a teen doing this shouldn't be worried. When we were young, it was Dungeons and Dragons. People could spend hours getting lost in the elaborate fantasy game. I don't see it as much different, which I think that it is definitely different, but that's a good way to look at it. It's nice that some people are looking at it like that. It also said somewhere in there that witchcraft is kind of coming forward as like girls want to be witches or whatever because they are feminists, and so it has like a feminist angle of like power and like powerful women and power, like, you see all of the anti-men, hate men, blah 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 about witches. But there's also like I am strong, I'm a woman, I'm independent, so people kind of latch onto that, and it's like a form of feminism now, people are saying.
That's crazy. Which is
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Feminism.
I think
kinda
it's so
fuck with
nuts.
it.
I really do. I heard that and I was like, damn, I love that.
Yeah.
I also I highly suggest you both watch it. The old movie Witches of Eastwick. I've been talking about it for weeks. It's got Cher, Michelle Pfeiffer, Susan Sarandon, and Jack Nicholson, and it is and they're all really young. It's so good.
Star-studded cast.
Star-studded, absolutely, and it's a
I wanna know
fantastic,
which
fantastic
movie
movie.
I watched. I gotta look it up.
I
But
can't
yeah,
stop
I don't
thinking
know.
about that video, the viral video where the guy's like, the Wicked Witch of the East. Like,
Yeah.
That's
The Wicked
so
Witch of the
funny.
East, bro.
Yeah.
And what was her sister?
Yeah.
The Wicked Witch of the
Such
West.
a good video.
Grow up.